Hey, my friends, time again for another Vigor Warriors episode. And welcome to the 1% Club, by the way. And if you guys don't know, this channel is kind of dedicated to focusing on the 1% of us who are trying to change our lifestyle and become different people by retaining our energy and our seed, to only use it at the appropriate times to be able to not, kind of become less of a person we can become and be more stronger and the best version of ourselves we can be. And I had just done a video on 500 days, and so I want to again thank you guys and appreciate all that. And we're kind of moving ahead to keep going as long as we can go. And then if we happen to get in trouble, we're gonna go ahead and do it again, right? And go back and start it again. So this is an interesting one, and I always like to comment. Phantom Samurai. Phantom Samurai is a good station to listen to, channel, and I would highly recommend it. So I'll probably put it down in the link, at least the name of it. Please look at that one because they had a good one on talking about why you relapse. And so we'll kind of talk about that a little bit here. Before that, go ahead and subscribe, comment, like. I always like to take articles and things I see and people send to me and kind of comment on those a little bit. And so I welcome all of it. I think it's just it's an important movement, guys. I think I look at different movements like the MGTOW movement and retention movement, brahmacharya, sophism. When you look at these things, you're really looking at men and women deciding to change and not follow the current pattern of things that I think are very destructive. Reminds me a lot of the history of the Roman Empire or a lot of the dynasties, right? People never survived their own success because they became they didn't really realize, and they thought they become too entitled, and they felt like that they didn't have to work for it any longer, and they felt like they were superior, and they misunderstood how they got there and their forefathers got there in the first place. And so because of all that, they made a lot of mistakes, and they learned from those the hard way. And so a lot of dynasties fell apart because of too much of the internal types of breaking of rules and laws and things like that. And so when you got things like high body count and those type of things going on, and people can do it very freely, and it's almost like just a walk in the park, you got a real problem in society. And this is what happened to the Roman Empire. So there's a lot of analogies between the Roman Empire and what's happening in our world today, when people have very loose moral values, and in some cases no moral values, and they're willing to kind of do anything they can because they feel, well, it's my right to do that, And technically they're right, but once again, with great power comes, great responsibility. And if you're going to throw away that responsibility, throw away your energy to short-term pleasures, well, you're going to get the consequences of that. And the consequence of that is low energy, depression, anxiety, people taking pills, having children out of wedlock, all those type of things that I think create a lot of problems, And we look at the, marriage rates and divorce rates, and all these things are all dysfunctional when it comes to the way I believe God intended us to be. And there's a reason why the Bible talks about things talking in certain ways, right? Those type of things are set up because you're focusing really on, practical advice. And you look at any of the kind of religious books, and I just talk about the Bible, but the Quran, all these type of things you're talking about, there's a lot of practical information in there. And the practical information in there talks about things that have happened before. And guys, as we talked about before, these type of things, human beings have not changed. The world around us may have changed as far as technology and other things go, but people haven't changed. They still behave the same way. And part of that behavior is the fact that at some point they forget and they're not grateful about who created them, and they're not grateful for that, and they become like they're gods. And this is what we have. We have a lot of people who think they're gods. They believe they're entitled. They believe they're spoiled. They believe that anybody should be able to give them anything they want. And they believe that they shouldn't have to work for it. And they take the shortcuts. And they believe that other people should make them happy. And we see this all times in relationships, especially where people think, well, you can't stop me from using my own body and things like that. And they see no problem in doing anything they want to do. And it borders on the ridiculous side. But the fact is that person is hurting themselves. So we're talking about levels of control. Now we're taking the opposite approach. We're going to be very highly controlled and disciplined and respectful of our bodies, respectful of our energy and things like that. But now what happens if you do end up making a mistake, right? Those things happen. It happened to me many times, so I'm not in a position to judge anybody. I'm going to take my pad here. You're not in a position to judge anybody. And I'm not certainly to do anything because I've been in those situations and I know how that is. So all I can do is kind of have total empathy for you. We had one viewer that was 75 days and relapsed. And my empathy, I will focus on the positive. I think 75 days is a tremendous streak. And, keep at it again. And then the more you do it the one time, now you can do it more the next time. You're used to building up to that level, and now you can do no more. Okay? But let's go ahead and take this article on Phantom Samurai and why they relapse. And they list 5 different things here that I want to kind of focus on. And this will tell you why people relapse, which I agree with all 5 of these. And then what you can do to probably avoid these. So the first one they talk about is your screen time is out of control. So what they say by that is your screen time, you're using the computer way too much, right? And this happens to us all the time. We're using the computer way too much, and the idea is that people can very easily hook into images and see things on TV, and then they get more tempted on the internet to kind of view more things. And so it becomes more of an addictive type of thing. And so the recommendation is to limit your time as much as possible. Now, you may have a job or things that deal a lot with the computers, and that's understandable. But try to limit your time so you're not dominated by your visual screen. I don't think it's very healthy for you anyway. I mean, as far as even sleeping goes, I tend to be in a different room than my computers because I just don't think it's very healthy, the rays things that are coming off those computers. And so I basically kind of avoid those things if I can. But I think this is one of the causes why people tend to relapse, because they get into bad habits, and all of a sudden now they're focusing bad against that too. And then a second one is relying on motivation to quit. So just motivation alone, nothing wrong with motivation, guys, but motivation alone is not going to do it by itself. What you really want to do is you want to have time and effort and working on your plan. And your plan should be a plan in order to retain, transmute, and take on goals, create goals, and do the things you want to do. And that's important. So motivation alone is going to help, but it's not going to be something that's going to solve it. And in fact, it may discourage you, and you may end up counting too much on motivation instead of working hard with it, and you fall back into bad habits. And that's what happened to me a couple of times too. Actually, all of these I've kind of suffered through, so I'm going to kind of focus on. That's why I kind of chose the article, because I've kind of gone through all these. So I did have a couple episodes of just having too much on the computer, and that happened. Motivation, right? It wasn't putting the effort into it. The third one was counting streaks. Now, I did one on 500, but honestly, as I told you, I don't really keep track of the days because this is more of a lifestyle. I think sometimes you can become too attached to it. And so it does create an episode, and I think this happened to me too early on when I tried to do 4, 5, 6 days. I just focused too much on counting the days. You should really take every day individually. But once you get to the point that, like I am now, I don't really even think about it. I'm only really doing it more to kind of tell you guys about than anything else, only because I'm trying to help motivate you guys to, kind of keep going and not to just quit, because that's happened to me lots of times as well. So people help me keep going, and so I want to kind of help as many people as I can do the same thing. But counting too much, depending too much on your streak, can hurt you. And that happened to me one time, and you have to kind of avoid that. Rationalizing, okay? Saying, oh, it's okay to listen to, to watch a video or to watch this picture and those type of things. Once you start rationalizing it, then you get caught. And you get oversaturated too much, and to the point where you're basically not focusing on your plan anymore. Now you're saying, okay, it's okay if I cheat this one time, right? And really, guys, the bottom line that I found is that I was my worst enemy. I had the control to stop if I wanted to. The problem was I really didn't want to stop. Now I could say this now, but it was hard at the time. I didn't really want to stop. There was too much pleasure I was getting out of that whole process. Even though at the end of it, I felt terrible once I released. But the buildup was so exciting to me that, to me, that was worth more of the streak. And not knowing the benefits, which now I know is much better than I thought, I was more afraid of doing it. So to me, it was more positive than negative. But it took a long time for me to get to that point. So I rationalized a lot of times when I released. And that's what you have to kind of avoid. So that could be another reason. And the last one, I did this as well. Beating yourself up. You're going to release. If that happens, you know, it's okay. It's okay because you're going to continue on. The main thing is that don't forget this is a plan, a goal, and this is a lifestyle type of change. It's not something that just happens once in a while. You know, it's got to be something that you decide, okay, I'm doing this as a lifestyle change, and now I'm going to change who I am. And I'm not going to just, you know, send out my energy for anything. I'm not going to be chasing women around, or if you're a woman, chasing men around. I'm going to kind of go on my purpose, and I'm going to look for, you know, my goals, my success, and my goals and success. You know, if that one of those type of things is having a good man or woman, well, then I'm going to look for one of those. But I'm not going to just settle for somebody and just sleeping with them and losing energy. In my mind, I think you have to kind of take those skills and get to know the person as a person, not as an object. And this is what happens a lot when people focus too much on the images and things they see, and they, you know, look at these TikToks and they look at all this OnlyFans stuff and things like that. They're just focusing so much on the pictures that they really create an object in their minds. And it's no wonder that people complain about being treated as objects. Well, they're all being, no one is male or female, they're all objects on there. Because you're looking at images. You're not even looking at the real thing. And that's why you have to kind of think to yourself that you got to focus on getting your mind away from all that. Focus on your goals. Don't focus on those type of things, because it creates images in you that lead itself more to temptation. And you want to kind of avoid that. All right. So I really enjoyed this video by Phantom Samurai, and I would recommend you guys looking into it as well. And the bottom line is that don't worry about relapsing, guys. Going back and focusing on trying again, and focusing on the long-term lifestyle changes that you can do. And I think that's the key to it. All right, guys. I hope I answered that one. And it was also, once again, a good video there. So next time, battle on, and we'll see you later. Take care.